Welcome in, everyone. We're ready for another deep dive, and this one's right in the thick of things.
Hmm.
The 2024 election. Specifically, we're looking at this recent Trump rally that's been getting a lot of coverage, all kinds of takes on it. You guys sent in a whole stack of articles, different news outlets. Really interesting to see everyone's take.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, isn't it? How a single event gets spun in so many directions.
Yeah.
We're going to pick it apart, not just the what, but the how they're telling the story. Those little details, they really tell a tale.
Right. So, okay, the rally itself. Latrobe, Pennsylvania, swing state, got to be a big deal, right?
Yeah.
17 days, just over 2 weeks left of the election. And how does Trump kick things off? He's talking about, wait for it, Arnold Palmer.
And not just a quick mention either. This goes on, like really dives in, hard to miss, this habit he has, goes off script, kind of throws the whole prepared speech thing out the window. And at this point in the game, you'd think.
Yeah, every second counts. But then again, it's Trump.
Exactly. And these articles, they quote him, let's just say, colorful commentary about Palmer's, well, physique. Not exactly your typical campaign trail material.
Not exactly.
No, not at all. Kind of shocking. But then he does this, right? Connects with people, shared history, even if it's, well, a bit crude. Definitely hold your attention.
Keeps things lively. He does eventually, get to the campaign stuff we'd expect. Touches on immigration, throws in some tariff talk, and of course, got to get those Biden administration critiques in there.
Right, right. And it's how he frames it all that matters. Strong language. Immigration is an invasion-heavy stuff. Got to liberate the country, he says. This kind of talk, obviously, some people really concerned, but others, it really speaks to them. They feel like their worries, no one else is addressing them.
Yeah, and you can't ignore that contrast, right? Same day, you've got Vice President Harris, get out the vote rally, and she goes there, directly calls out what she calls Trump's, well, rambling, straight up nonsense, she said. Though maybe a little sarcasm in there, hard to tell.
Oh, for sure. Tone is everything in this game, right? Even a simple word, nonsense, you can twist it so many ways depending on how you say it.
Adds a whole other layer to decoding these speeches. But it wasn't just the word choice. She questioned his coherence, too. Based on what we're seeing at this rally, what's your take on that?
Tricky one. It's true. He jumps around, tangents everywhere. You could easily call it incoherent. But then there's this underlying theme, right? Appealing to his base, those criticisms, always there. It's not about laying out a perfect argument. It's about feeling, tapping into something deeper.
So less about logic, more about emotion.
Yeah, and it's a strategy. It's calculated. Appeal to those who distrust the system, the elites. He's got to be authentic, unscripted, say what's on his mind, even if it gets messy.
It's working, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
At least for his base. But let's get into what he actually said, the meat of this rally. The articles all mentioned tariffs, immigration, familiar stuff, but cranked up a notch with the election so close.
Oh, absolutely. Playing to those fears, economic anxiety, who are we? Where's our place in the world? Bringing back jobs, massive tariffs on anything coming from those other countries, protecting American workers. Yeah. This is core Trump, right back to day one. And for a lot of voters, this hits home. Globalization, the economy changing, they feel left behind.
And on immigration, wow. Didn't hold back. One article even pointed out he kept using the word invasion. We have to liberate the country, that kind of thing. Powerful imagery meant to get a reaction.
No subtlety there.
Yeah.
Straight up evocative language, right? Like, we're under attack.
He even twisted some stats, ICE, all that, to make his point. It's effective. Rallies his base, no question. But also plenty of criticism, saying it's just fueling xenophobia, playing on people's fears.
Painting a picture of America in crisis, and guess who's the only one who can fix it? Exactly. The strong man. The only one who can bring back order, security. It's a classic tactic, right? We crave that. Stability, the good old days. Chaos versus control, easy choice to present. Mobilizes his base, sure, but also maybe sways those undecided voters. If you're looking for a strong hand, someone who will shake things up.
Risky, though, right? Especially this late in the game. Think it'll work.
Tough to say. It's worked before, that's the thing. He's good at tapping into that anxiety, turning it into votes. But things change fast.
No kidding. This election, everyone's paying attention. Haven't seen this kind of engagement in decades.
And that's what makes it so unpredictable. But this rally, it's a glimpse behind the curtain, the strategies, the tactics as we head into these final days. Fascinating stuff.
Totally agree. It's not just about picking a president. It's two completely different versions of America we're choosing between. And speaking of, can we go back to the beginning? That whole Arnold Palmer thing. The comments on his physique, I mean, come on. How often do you hear a candidate talking about a golfer's muscles on the campaign trail?
Memorable, for sure. Some people, they'll just write it off. Typical Trump rambling.
Yeah.
But there's a reason, right? Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Palmer's hometown. Had to stick out to you.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Totally forgot about that. Not random at all. Calculated, local pride, all that.
Exactly. Palmer's legacy, the strength, the masculinity, speaks to his base, for sure.
Yeah.
A way to connect, even if it's, well, unexpected, to say the least.
Makes you wonder how much is planned and how much is just him being him.
$1 million question.
Uh-huh.
It's both, probably. He knows how to work a crowd, that's undeniable. But there's a whole team behind him, too, crafting the message, the image.
Political theater, right. And he's the unpredictable star.
And like a good play, always more than meets the eye. Speaking of which, those articles about Vice President Harris, her event, her message, directly responding to Trump's rambling, calling it nonsense, though that tone, kind of hard to read. It was happening at the same time, right? While Trump was in Latrobe, all that history, that industry, Harris was focused on getting out the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Two different strategies, two different audiences.
Worlds apart, really.
Exactly, and that's the challenge today, isn't it? Campaigning in the digital age, two events happening simultaneously, different messages, different approaches. Media's all over the place. Voters have to piece it all together themselves.
Like a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Exactly, and that's why we have to be careful. Look beyond the headlines, what they want us to think. Understand the context, the motivations, what's at stake with every word they say.
We've got to be detectives, huh? Looking for clues.
That's it. Question everything, see all sides, and most importantly, think for ourselves.
It really is like these two events, totally separate, but they all feed into the same machine, right? Shaping how we see things, the whole narrative.
That's the digital age for you. It's not just about what happens in one place anymore. Social media, the news cycle, everything's amplifying, distorting. It's a whirlwind.
Feels like reality TV, election edition. Big drama, constant cliffhangers.
And just like reality TV, we get caught up in the spectacle, the most outrageous stuff. Gotta cut through that, remember what really matters, the actual issues, our own lives.
And the choices we make, right, they have consequences, real world stuff.
No doubt. This isn't just a show, it's our democracy. Who we are, what we want for this country, it's all on the line.
Big stuff. So, last few days, election's almost here. Looking back at this Trump rally, this deep dive we've done, what sticks with you? What should we be watching for these next few days especially?
I keep coming back to this. It's a clash of worldviews, more than just politics.
Yeah.
Role of government. What's the truth even mean anymore? The whole idea of America, it's fundamental stuff.
Those big questions we usually avoid thinking about.
Right. And whoever wins, those questions, they're not going away. It's going to keep shaping things, how we talk to each other, how we live, long after the votes are counted.
Makes you think, our part doesn't end on Election Day either then.
None at all. This is an ongoing thing. Listening, learning, engaging. Even when it's tough, when we don't agree.
Finding that common ground, but still, you gotta stand up for what you believe in. Well said. Man, this deep dive really got me thinking. The theatrics, the strategies, but also those bigger currents underneath it all. It's a lot to process. So for everyone listening, same question to you. What stood out? How are you making sense of all this? The choices in front of us? This is just the beginning, right? The conversation keeps going. Thanks for being here with us for another deep dive.